Greetings. The purpose of this video is to explain overlays as seen here in the United States Kansas marriage records. We see a full document, page 604, of a marriage license, marriage affidavit, and the endorsement where it was actually performed, the dates we want at the bottom of the page. Then there is an insert, an overlay that hides this back page. It would have been awesome if they could have put a full sheet of paper behind there and you wouldn't have seen anything and you would have said no extractable data. But some people did try to put the information that is showing, and that's incorrect because we see that we have that information fully showing down a few images. So we will double check the header information and the differences between the two arbitrators first. We click on the second image and we have just this little document and then a blank image. So the second one will be blank and the first one will be this little portion. And so the header data I've already changed to say that it is normal on both because the images are normal on both, or on each. And on the third one, we've got a little image right here and the full record. And on the fourth and the fifth images, there was no problem, nothing confusing for us to index, besides the handwriting. And so going back to the first one on arbitration, again, I've already changed the headers to say normal on all of them, so that when we get this in publication review, we won't have anything to hash out about whether or not it should be included or shouldn't. Most times, if the indexing is done correctly, you don't have that big issue when you get to publication review, I hope. Let's see. So here we had a difference in the name. If you look at that, it looks like James. If you look over here where there's another document, you see it's Jones. And if you increase the size, as we want to do when we're actually working on the documents, we see that it says Jones there, and it could have been both, but it is Jones on that one, because they're all talking about the same individual. Those inserts, the overlays, are supplements to this document because one person is 16. So we go through and we say, okay, it's not James, it's Jones. Then the rest of the document is fine and matches completely. When I'm arbitrating, I make sure I look at everything on the first couple of images because both indexers may have done it incorrectly. And the arbitrator wants to be sure that it is correct. So this one is blank. The first individual, key A, has tried to read behind, which we know is incorrect because we've seen that that's in there. Now we just want to be concerned with this smaller document. There are places in the instructions that say to put all the information on one document. That's when it's a continuation and it's clearer. In these overlays, you don't want to do those continuations. It gets too confusing. So on this document, we are just going to do what we see on it. So we see that the minor is William Owen Jones, but his age isn't there. It's on another page. Leave it off on this piece of paper, in this instance, because when someone pulls up this document, they're only going to see this. And Betty Lee is 16, and so it is written. The father is there verifying and verifying. Now we might assume Fern Jacob is the mom, but we can't put it in here because we don't assume on indexing. If we were the family member and we pulled up the image, we would take that bit of information and use it, record it. It's important to us, but it's not accurate enough for us to put it on this indexing field as though it is the mother, because you don't know it's the mother just because she witnessed it. Okay, so there is no date on this document, and there is this Osage County, but the information down here says what city. Well, we don't know that's Osage City. It says Osage County, so it's blank. Sometimes it may say a different state, and in one of the devotionals I said it incorrectly. If it said Joplin, Missouri, you would put the whole thing in there without a comma. So you would put the state in there as it's written. So over here we want it to be blank. The first person read around again. The second person said there isn't anything. So the arbitrator had to be accepted as saying this document is blank. And now we've got it in there correctly. The third page is just this little item, and it's William Owen Jones, and his age is 18, and Betty Lou Jacob, and she is not 18, and it doesn't say her age, and so we want to put a blank there. And W.O. Jones is written as the father here, and so we do want to make sure W.O. Jones, but it's not the groom's father. Well, it is. So is this a duplicate of that page before? Thought I figured this out last time. Betty Lee. It's not a duplicate because it has a different information. And this one is dated. So we'd go through carefully and write everything that's on there. So I've saved this one to do. And so we're going to accept key A. William Owen Jones is 18. Betty Lee Jacob is there. Again, it's Osage County, so we don't extract that. She lives in Lyon. We don't extract that. And then we have that the father is W.O., and it's W.O. Jones. It's the groom's father again. So I was hoping that would be the bride's. There is a date. And the date is the 25th of July, 1942, but it does not anywhere on the document say that it's Osage County. So here we are on the one that we can see, and we know how to arbitrate that. If I was not under a time pressure with the marriages to get done quickly, I may send it back. But as was stated in our devotional, the person that did it doesn't get it, so let's just, it's not hard to accept the right information and get this on its way, and the people that did it get the feedback if they're willing to look. And so I say continue on. So here is where the ceremony was performed, the marriage ceremony, the actual marriage date, 28th of July, 1942, and in Linden, Kansas. And then we know how to arbitrate the following ones. We just look and say, do we think that's an E or an O? I'm probably a poor arbitrator because the person that's done everything correctly the most, if I can't quite figure out what it's saying, I will take their word for it. So maybe that's wrong, but you know, I'm really thinking that's an E, even though the A person was more correct on everything all along. I think it's an E. And then we look at all the places and we decide. But that gives us a review again of the overlays and when we want to include it and when we want to wait to put the information in. The times that a document will accumulate the information are the times that this document says continued on page 2, continued on page 3, continued on page 4, or if the image is not standalone, as I understand it. I hope this was informative, and if there were corrections, please let me know. Thank you. This concludes U.S. Marriage and Records. I was going to tell you a little bit about the tool that I'm using. It is just the Screencast-O-Matic screensaver, and it's free if you do for only 15 minutes. And you can upgrade and do lots more things, but you just download that application, click on this launch that, and it puts a little screen up that you can't see but over my work so I can see it. And there you go.